Hi, Brinky Bunch. It's Mrs. Jahnke. I'm here to go over our NBT 5 math standard before our quiz, which is going to be Monday. Standard is focusing on multiplication of multi-digit whole numbers, and right now we're focusing on the array model before we go into the standard algorithm, which will come after this quiz. The array model is usually the most challenging part, not necessarily for the students, but for the parents, because this is so much different than how we learned it. But as we've dug into this over the years, it really is great because it makes double digit and triple digit multiplication much more easy to be able to see and do in our heads, as you will see in a moment. So I'm going to go over this step by step the way that we did this in class, so that you, as you're reviewing at home, you can kind of see what we've been working on and the language that we use and the steps and the procedure for doing multiplication with the array model. So right now our learning goal is I can fluently multiply multi-digit whole numbers using an array model. So since we are focusing on this array model, I know many of the students know how to do the standard algorithm, which is great, amazing, and typically they will be able to use in the future the standard algorithm, but since this is part of the learning goal in the standard, it is important that they also see multiplication as an array model. It'll help with area when we start to do area and perimeter and our geometry, and it'll also be helpful with them using mental math. Anyhow, so right now over here are the steps of how to make a quick sketch for the array model. The quick sketch makes it easy so that they don't need graph paper in order to do this. That makes it very impractical. By doing a quick sketch, you can do this on any piece of paper that you have. So if you don't know the standard algorithm, or if you don't use the standard algorithm, you can still figure it out using this model. So we're going to go step by step, and it's color coded, and I'm going to try to color code it the same way as I do the problem over here. So we're going to be doing 13 times 12 as an array. So the first thing we do, step number 1, is sketch the dimensions. So the first number, 13, the first number is always going to be on your side. So 13 is a 10 and 3 ones. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, this is hard to do on my computer, so it might look kind of funky. So there is a 10 and 3 ones. And then the second number, the 12, is what we put on top. So that's a 10 and 2 ones. 1, 2. And that's all we do for step 1. For step 2, we're actually labeling those dimensions. So in orange, I'll do this to help color code it. We're going to label the dimensions. So here is our 10. 10 plus 3. And it is important to break that up into 10 and 3 instead of just writing 13. And you'll see why in a moment when we start finding the partial products inside. So 10 and 3. And then up here we have 12, which is our 10 plus our 2. I'm trying to write with the mouse on the laptop, which doesn't make it very easy. Anyhow, so here is our dimensions and our labels for those dimensions. Next thing we need to do is fill in our array lines. I'm gonna use just a shape because it is having a hard time writing with this mouse, but I'm gonna make it yellow, so it's color coded. And we're gonna make a rectangle, and you would just do this with your pencil. A rectangle over here, and it should be, inside of our dimensions. And then we also need to draw our lines based on the place value of each dimension. So what I mean by that is we're going to then make a line going down between the 10s and the 1s over here, and between the 10s and the 1s over here. So 10s, 1s, 10s, 1s. And you'll notice now that we have 4 boxes inside. So what we need to do now is we need to find the area of each of these parts. Because basically 13 times 12, what we're doing is we're finding an area of a 13 by 12 rectangle. We're just breaking this down into numbers and rectangles that we can find the area quickly in our heads. So over for step 4, it says find the area of each part of the array. These are called the partial products. Partial meaning part and products meaning answers to a multiplication problem. So right here, if you look in this little rectangle, or square in this case, you will see the dimensions are a 10 by 10. You can do that by putting your fingers in the middle of this square or rectangle and starting with over to the side, what do you see? And over to the top. So you see a 10 over on the side, a 10 on top. So 10 by 10, which equals 100. And I'm going to circle our actual area because at the end we're going to be adding up these partial products. Okay, so that's for this one. Over here to the right of that, if you look over to the side, it's a 10. The height is 10 and the width is 2. So it's a 10 by 2, which equals, we can do that in our head, 20. Center this, and we can circle our product. Then we're going to go down to our third. Let me put a little circle around there. We're going to go down to our third box. So if you go over to the side, you see 3. The height is 3, and the width is 10. If you look up. So it's a 3 by 10, which is 30. We're going to circle the area of that rectangle. And finally, our last box, if you look over, the height's 3 and the width, if you look up, is 2. So it's a 3 by 2, which is 6. And we're going to circle that product as well. And scooch this over. Circle. Alrighty, so we found all of our partial products. And when you're using a pencil, it goes a lot quicker than trying to use this. So you could quickly say 10 by 10, 100. 10 by 2, 20. 3 by 10, 30. 3 by 2, 6. So we found all of the different areas of these 4 sections. Now, in order to find the total product of a 13 by 12, all we have to do, step 5 over here, is find the sum of the partial products. Sum meaning the answer to an addition problem. So we're going to add up all of our partial products, because over here, the area of this part is 100 square units. Over here is 20 square units. Over here is 30 square units. Over here is 6 square units. So if you put them all together, that's just adding them up. So this is our blue step. So we have 100 plus 20 plus 30 plus 6. And then you just add it all up. So we add up our 1s, which is a 6. We add up our 10s, which is 5. We add up our 1s, which is a 1. And there we go. Step 6 is to just write a multiplication equation. So that's our purple step. So I'm going to get into purple. So think back, what were we even answering here? Our multiplication problem, our original multiplication problem was 13 times 12, which equals, we just found out, 156. There's that equation. And so our final step is just ask yourself, does my answer make sense? So the best way to do this is to think of a quick, easy multiplication problem that's close to 13 by 12, just estimating, to get a ballpark answer. So I can do 13 times 10 in my head, which I know is 130. This is close, it's the same amount of digits, so both 100 something, and 156 is a little more because I know that 13 groups of 12 is going to be a little more than 13 groups of 10. So this does make sense. So in my pink, I can show, my pink over here, I can show my just estimate, my quick check to show, does this make sense? So 13 times 12, times 10 equals 130, which does make sense. So I can just give it a little check. Sounds good to me. And so here is my final answer. I know that seemed like a lot of steps and it seemed very tedious, but it is helpful for students to see how these partial products give us this total area and to see multiplication as an area of a rectangle. And it also is helpful because these are quick problems that we can just do quickly in our heads. So as they get more practice, it helps it go much more smoothly, much more quickly, and it even helps some students to do 2- and 3-digit multiplication mentally. If you have any questions, of course you can email me, you can call me. I'm going to be sending out all of these notes along with the homework to your email. It'll also be on the wiki. Our quiz is going to be on Monday, regardless of, I don't want to jinx anything, but regardless of if there's school the next couple days or not. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Have a great evening.